Hey everybody, hope you're having a good day. It's Friday, sometime, don't know the number, sometime near the end of May. But I had something happen last night and I thought I'll jump on and talk about it. So last night, I don't drive a truck, but I'm in a business where I need access to a truck to do certain things that I do. And on my way home last night, I started noticing a bit of a wobble in the truck. Excuse my dirty hands, I'm busy fixing it right now. And, I thought it was, I'm kind of an unconventional guy in as much as I do my own work. And balance is sometimes an issue because I don't take my truck tires to be balanced. I use what's called balancing beads. And you can look that up. It's what's used in transport trucks. Not used in a lot of cars, but if you do your own tire work, it's the way you can get around not having to balance your tires because you just put them in the tire and they solve the problem. But that doesn't matter. The point is, I felt a little bit of a jitter. Not much of a jitter, just, going about 90 kilometers. It was like, yeah, something's up. Then I tried going a little faster and it went away a little bit, a little slower and it went away, but it was just that little jitter. So I got home and through the grace of God, I don't have anything to do today out of choice really. And so I decided, well, I should figure this problem out because what is it? A pound of prevention is worth a pound of prevention is worth an ounce of cure, which means the prevention might be more expensive than the cure, but way easier. So anyway, I jacked up my vehicle, looked around, and fortunately, I discovered this. Now, this is what's called, clearly at some point in the last day or so, I took some kind of an impact, and it split the tire, and if you inspect the tire carefully, the belts are what's called shifted. And this is practically a new tire, so it's really a drag. But this is where the pound of prevention comes in. So if you ever go on YouTube, you can find a channel called Just Rolled In. And it's all about mechanics looking at the hilarity of people and what they bring into their garage. And, sometimes someone might come in for a starter and find out the guy's driving on the hub is worn out of his car, or the frames of their cars are rotten out, or they talk about erratic steering, and it goes from mile to mile. If you're even vaguely mechanical and you watch it, you'll be like, holy shit. And even if you're not, if you're a layman and you watch it, it's a good lesson. But here is the reason I am making this video. So there are plenty of people that would have felt that jitter and would have ignored it. They would have, just lived a little bit and thought, oh, well, it's just my rascally car. Maybe I'll get it looked at my next oil change or something. And this is the part where I believe it's really important for a man to be able to roll up his sleeves and at least know the basics of the mechanics of his vehicle. That is, unless you're fantastically wealthy, but even that's an issue these days because even the rich guys have to wait. You can't just go to the garage. You got to go to the garage, stand in line, put up with the BS, schedule an appointment, blah, 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 and 2 days later they might look at it. So it's actually a more prosperous decision to know how to turn some wrenches when you need to. Unless you can leave your truck and just, go on vacation because you're so rich. But anyway. But yeah, a lot of folks would leave this problem. And the inherent problem with leaving something like that is a belt shift. And you can see it's a big split in the tire. It's essentially could just blow up at any time. And blowing up at speed on the highway is not ideal. So, yeah, through the grace of God, I'm glad I was able to pull it off. And I have the ability to change my own tires at home, and I got my own tire machine, things like that. So I'm working on that right now. But as I was working on it, I was like, oh yeah, maybe this is something to talk about. So I'm going to wager right now that whether it's your relationship, your job, any relationship, not just your romantic friends, whatever, I'm gonna wager that right now it's possible that you're feeling some jitter. Maybe you're feeling it in your partner, maybe you're feeling it in decisions you made together. Maybe you're feeling it in your job. Maybe you just don't like the way you're being handled. You don't like the way you witnessed your coworkers or your employer handling people. Because you must understand, when you feel it in your gut, it's not going to get better. It's just going to get progressively worse until it could be an easy letdown. But in this case, well, let's face it, this could be a big deal, right? So what's involved to fix that? I mean, in the case of your employment, you can, or any of those circumstances, you can sit down and take some proactive measures, but and start thinking about how to solve the problem. But really, at some point, you have to exercise and solve the problem, which may either be changing your employment, getting rid of that boy or girlfriend. In the case of your marriage, taking a good look, doing some inventory and figuring it out. Just a number of things that go in there. Because really, at the end of the day, don't you want to avoid that? Yeah. So I guess the gist of this video is this. I know in my life, I have heard the wobble and just lived with it in many circumstances. And clearly that is the way of the world, because, if you look at everything that's going on, if you look at my catalog of videos, you recall about a year and a half ago, I made calls associated with how interest rates are going to go through the roof, et cetera, and how they're not done doing that. So people, even though they felt that there was something wrong when real estate prices were so high, they just went ahead and bought them anyway. And now, instead of solving that problem with a pound of cure, maybe walking away from a deal or something, now they're going to have, or a pound of prevention, they're going to have an ounce of cure, which is probably going to be a pretty heavy ounce to take. But even your relationships, let's face it, in our country, if you look on my timeline, my Facebook timeline, I posted something yesterday from a divorce attorney that, you can look it up on Diaries of a CEO. That's a YouTube channel, and look up divorce. There's a very compelling interview that's been done with a very seasoned divorce attorney talking about how to proactively handle problems. But at the same time, you have to be with people who, if it's a personal problem, even if you detect the problem, you have to be involved with people who want to solve the problem. And what I mean by that is that, let's pretend this was the family car or whatever. And I had a wife here who was, in the morning, I'm like, well, honey, I felt a jitter. I think I've got to jack up. Oh, but I got to go to sports and got to go to the mall and get my hair done and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to minimize what women do, but those are activities that women do. And and that's like putting off the problems of today to deal with them tomorrow. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say that you don't have to solve your problems today, but you do have to work on them. And so even in that interaction, if I had said, well, sweetheart, let me just jack up the vehicle for a minute and take a look at the tire to make sure it'll be safe for you to get your hair done, go to the extracurriculars and go shopping and blah, 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 blah. And in that moment, even if I had jacked the car up, not even fixing it, but just identifying the problem, well, that could save a world of hurt, because at that point, the day changes. I mean, how many times have you been faced with a problem and all of a sudden the plans you had for your day, your week, your month, your year out the window. And yeah, now in this case, like I said, I can fix it myself. Other folks might take them a couple of days because they got to go to the garage, make appointment. And I don't know if you know, there's a tech shortage, a labor shortage at garages right now, so it's hard getting things fixed, which is another topic I'll talk about another day. But you have to have that partner who is willing to go, oh yeah, because it's a universal truth that you cannot ride with your tire like that. That is a universal truth. It is a universal truth when you're feeling like shit, like physically, that it might have a lot to do with what you're putting in your mouth. So you can access the fruits of the Spirit, which are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, self-control, and stop doing that. And that's the pound of prevention, because it's going to suck. But then again, wander down to the old folks' home and look at all the people who are wired up to this, that, and the other thing because of things they inhaled, things they put in their mouth, or ways they even thought. And they chose not to handle them, and now they're living in their own personal hell. Because you can leave this world well, or you can leave it bad. It's up to you, really. So, but then once I said, you have to have a partner that goes, yeah, you know what? I accept that it is not a good idea for tires to have slashes out of them. I am not going to get in the car, devil may care, with this wheel in terrible shape. I'm going to fix this problem, or we're going to fix this problem. Now, if your partner is just like, nah, whatever, and that doesn't sit right with you, that's a bigger issue that you'll have to pray about. If you've got an employer and you talk about a problem, and they're like, nah, whatever, then same idea. You have to pray about it. Maybe you have to leave that situation, because God knows you don't want to be in a situation where, you're riding on that tire, and one day, you think everything's going to be fine. Let's pretend I decided that I wasn't going to fix this, and 2 weeks, maybe this would last for a month, maybe 6 months. I have no idea. I just put up with a shake. But there comes a day when there's a big trip. Maybe I'm going on vacation. Maybe I got to get to the airport on time. And all of a sudden on the way to the airport, kaplowy. Right? So, as I've said in other videos, people often tell me I'm a good salesman. And it's not because I'm a good salesman. It's simply because I'm telling you things that you already know. And the reality is that just sit down, get out your yellow pad. A nice yellow pad, white if you have to, but yellow is a little, excess makes the brain juices start flowing. Pull out the yellow pad and start writing down what is going on in your life that is making you go, oh, that is a slashed tire. Do you have people in your life that are treating other people like shit? Do you have stuff you're putting in your mouth that makes you feel like shit? Do you have places that you're going to that make you feel, once you're there, like shit? All of the above. If you can answer yes to any of these problems, a good exercise is put a little arrow beside each one and then write down what the final outcome is. Maybe you watched your boss abuse one of your employees and there was a big blowout, and finally there was a big scene, and it cost the business time, money, and people got fired and blah, 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 blah. Hasn't happened to you yet because you're the golden child, but that doesn't take long. Maybe you have a parent who is overstepping their boundaries all the time. Maybe they're telling you things that you've asked them not to talk to you about. Maybe they're treating you in ways you shouldn't have. You makes you feel like garbage, and maybe they treat their partner like garbage, or your father or your mother. If your parents are the original set. It's just a matter of time before you're going to experience the blowout, and the wheels are going to fall off that. Anyway, I could go on all day, This is not a lecture. This is just because I have no idea what your personal situation is. But I do know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and even Peterson says this, Peterson says, you know, the best thing you can do for yourself is sit on the end of your bed and ask yourself the question, what am I royally screwing up at that I could change? And it's not a matter of, you know, an overnight change. It's a little change. So, you know, that stuff you're putting in your mouth, maybe put half as much of that stuff in your mouth, or a quarter. A quarter one week, half the next, 3/4 the next, until finally it's gone. Because even you know, fast food makes me sick when I eat it now, because I'm so acclimatized to eating healthy. Thinking certain ways, like, you know, when I go around people who want to talk shit about people all day long, I just want to leave because it's bullshit. It is absolutely insane. It is toxic. And, you know, as far as I can tell, is that there's a pretty large branch of medicine now that says whatever you think is also going to externalize in your body. Again, that's a bigger video. Don't take my word for it. YouTube's a wonderful resource, you know, as far as looking that kind of stuff up. But like I said, you could take little steps right now. And if you have people in your life that you have gone away from that you knew were healthy, or you knew maybe you had people in a friend group or something that all of a sudden they stopped hanging around, and you still know that they're doing okay, and you wonder why. Maybe pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, you know, I was wondering, and you might find out that they're on a path to being healthier. So you could be on a path to being healthier, or you can just drive around with the tire, waiting for the explosion. Have a nice day, guys.